Welcome back now. The use of humanoid robots on the battlefield as they play an expanded role in America's national security. Foundation Future Industries, a robotics startup, aims to develop these autonomous humanoid robots. The company just secured a $24 million contract with the Pentagon for its Phantom robot to begin tests with the Marine Corps and help troops breach enemy sites more safely. Joining us now is Foundation Future Industries founder and CEO, Sankaet Pathak, and the company's chief strategy advisor, Eric Trump, President Trump's son. Congratulations to you both. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks, Maria.
Thanks for having us, Maria.
Sankaet, I want to kick this off and learn more about this. And I guess what I'd love to also understand is the competitive landscape on this, because I know China is trying to have robots on the battlefield as well.
Mm-hmm. That is correct. And you have China developing actually quite advanced capabilities on both land and air-based autonomy. The U.S. is doing a good job of air-based autonomy, but there are 0 startups outside of Foundation that are actually working on humanoid robots, also for defense use in the U.S. or largely anywhere in the Western world. And I think that, like, we want more people to do this. Like, I think that's an extremely scary and dangerous thing that we're the only company that's doing it in the U.S. So as it comes to the U.S., our competition's green field. Like, no one else is really doing what we're doing, and we're in a league of our own. But we would encourage that to change, because China, on the other hand, is marching ahead quite aggressively.
Right. So, Sankaet, tell me about this robot. How is AI implemented here, and what is your vision?
Yeah, so what you're seeing behind me is Phantom Mach 1. So that's our first generation robot. What you're seeing here is kind of like frozen in time. So this is like, this is old news for us. So this is 8-9 months old to where the company currently is at. What we've been building is Phantom Mach 2. So that's our second generation robot. This one is an early production robot. Phantom 2 is the mass manufacturing robot. This robot can do about 30 kgs payload. Phantom 2 can do about 80 kgs payload. This thing can survive about 10 to 12 Gs of vibration. Phantom 2 can survive about 100 Gs of vibration. Phantom 2 is waterproof, dustproof. This robot is not. All of that is to say, I think what we're about to unveil in the next couple of months is, I don't think anything like that exists. I think it's going to be the strongest humanoid robot that exists anywhere in the world, including China. And our goal is to be able to provide those tools and those kinds of advanced technologies, not only to the US military, but also almost any heavy industry applications. So being able to do more construction, build more housing, disaster relief, things like that. That's essentially what we're really building these robots for.
Wow, that's really fascinating. Eric, I know this is a lot about national security, but Sankaet's talking to us about other use cases. Tell us about that, and how did you get involved? What attracted you to this company?
Well, Sankaet's been a friend of mine, and I walked into his factory, and I couldn't believe what I saw. You know, coming from hospitality, the uses are unlimited. But, you know, Maria, you're just talking about China. You know, we are America first. We have to win this race. We've had to win a lot of races, right? You know, I got involved with crypto in a very big way because we had to win that digital revolution. We have to win robotics in the United States of America. You had a great segment 2 days ago, Maria, about the robot in Beijing that was literally running marathons and beating the fastest marathoners by what, 7-8 minutes for a full marathon. I mean, you know, these are in the very early days. We better be winning this race in the United States of America. We're the greatest economy in the world, and that's exactly what Sankaet's doing. And I'm telling you, he's doing a phenomenal job. When you go up and you interact with these robots, and they fist bump you, they high five you, they follow your commands, you bring in AI autonomy, it's going to change industry, it's going to change military application, it's going to change hospitality. The uses are unlimited, and I think it's a very beautiful thing, but we must win this race.
Yeah, no, I think you make great points. And Sankaet, I know your master plan is to build life-sustaining technology on Earth and beyond, including building capable humanoid robots at scale, achieving fleet coherence and a new city, not only on Earth, but the Moon and Mars. Tell us about these incredible goals that you've got.
Yeah, I mean, I named the company after the Asimov series, the Foundation series, and what really got me excited about pursuing humanoid robots and just actually real-world AI, so giving AI a body, is unlike everybody else who's pursuing things like making your coffee or folding your laundry, I'm more excited about building robots that are very heavy duty, that can do things that are quite tough or very dangerous for humans. And I really started thinking about, okay, what is like at its limit? What can these robots do? And I am very convinced with the technology advancements that even I've seen firsthand at Foundation. I think over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, these robots would be capable of actually constructing cities bigger than New York for a fraction of the price. So right now, our biggest goal is, yeah, no, please go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So right now, our biggest goal is we want to graduate from Phantom 1 to Phantom 2. We want to start doing mass volume production, which is later this year. We want to scale that production, deploy that in use cases like defense and also heavy industry, so manufacturing, logistics. And then once the company is profitable, we intend to use almost all of our profits to start building large infrastructure projects. So to be able to build cities and infrastructure that can kind of solve the housing crisis. And we think robots are going to be just apt for this. And that's what gets me excited and juiced up to be able to do what I do every day.
That is awesome. And Eric, you're a master at hospitality. Tell us how you could see these uses play out with robots. I mean, I know that there are robots used right now, if, for example, in hospitals, but, you know, this is something that the robot goes to the dock, picks up medical equipment, puts it in a basket, and delivers it where it needs to go. This is different.
Hospitality, you know, healthcare, you know, senior care. I think it's going to be obviously moving heavy objects. You know, obviously we're in the golf business in a very big way. You know, you're going to absolutely see autonomy. You're going to see autonomy mowing, you know, the grass. You're going to see autonomy spraying fertilizers. You're going to see autonomy, you know, in agriculture. Maria, the uses are absolutely unlimited, and certainly you're going to see it in terms of national defense. And you have a lot of other countries who don't have the best interest of the United States of America who are sprinting toward this technology. And that's why I'm really proud of this mission. That's why I'm proud of Foundation, Sankaet, and everything that he's accomplished. And these robots are impressive. It is eye-opening when you see their capabilities, when you see them lift 200 pounds off the ground. It's incredible what they can do. And, you know, the future is unlimited for these machines.
So, Sankaet, the downside here, I mean, we just saw what took place between Anthropic and the Pentagon, where Anthropic was pushing back on using autonomous weaponry without a kill switch or a human at some point, you know, turning it off. Your thoughts on that, and whether or not there are guardrails that need to be in place here?
I think there for sure need to be guardrails in place here. My understanding of the situation is the Pentagon actually has been quite responsible in using these technologies well. There are scenarios where you would need almost no human in loop. However, majority of the scenarios are not that, and from everything that we've heard, Pentagon is actually not pursuing non-human in loop applications in a big way. Having said that, there are some applications where you want instant response times. For instance, the Iron Dome. You cannot wait for a human to approve all of the reaction times because the likelihood that if you do not act, there's 100% casualty is quite high. So I think the argument that Anthropic made, I think kind of was not right. I think it was kind of like falling flat on the face because I thought what Pentagon was saying was quite reasonable, which is there are scenarios where we would have to be able to rapidly deploy and use these technologies, and we cannot always be calling a CEO of a company to ask for permission before we do it. And it would be better to align on a framework, and I think the Pentagon framework is quite good. I will also tell you that, like, my lineage. So like my family comes from India, and we've had a history of being pillaged for generations. And I think the West sometimes has this very idealistic version of the future where they're like, you cannot build a utopia and then not defend it. That just doesn't make any sense. Like, you have to be smart enough to be able to defend what you build. And there are a lot of people who want to destroy what exists in America. And
well,
I think you need the best tools to make sure that doesn't happen.
Particularly as we've seen China put the best tools on the battlefield, our #1 adversary. Great story, guys. We so appreciate you walking us through it. Thank you. Sankaet, Pathak, and Eric Trump. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon. We'll be right back.